Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Simona Cochi, The Italian Way. Today, one of the most anticipated cultural events of the season, coinciding with the upcoming Milano Fashion Week. I'm talking about Man Ray, painter, photographer, filmmakers, innovators. Born in Philadelphia, reinvented in Paris, he was a central figure in the avant garde in the 20th century. His experiments with light, shadows, and surrealism did not just shape modern art, but they redefine also fashion itself could be seen and reinterpreted. So I think it's the magic moment to be showcased during Milano Fashion Week. So all the fashion operators could step inside the beautiful and majestic Palazzo Reale in Piazza Duomo and admire a unique 300 species of artworks collected and gathered together from all over the world in tributing unique events to the art of Man Ray. In the 1930, Man Ray collaborated with the great couturier Paul Poiret, Elsa Schiaparelli, Coco Chanel. His photographs, published in Vogue and Harper's Bazaar, turn couture into a surreal dreamscape, blending elegance with provocation. So everybody has a perfect pictures on what is about using solarization in the pixel selfies and all that. Modern filters are taking inspiration also to the technique of Man Rays. And so we have more riographs, uncanny props, and this became the DNA of fashion photography, and their influence still echoes on today's runaways. The Milan retrospective that is going to open the doors the 24th of September, the second day of Milano Fashion Week, presents over, as I said, 300 works, vintage photographs, drawings, ready-mades, and films. Absolutely, I adore. I remember when I was covering Man Ray's exhibit at Kunstforum in Vienna. I felt so much inspired and was a unique experience. Personally, I'm into surrealism because I think it's one of the dreaming like art that allows you to be relaxed on one end, and the other hand to be completely into the beauty of these lights, these shapes, and the way also you can envision a different and more dreams like future. Yeah, definitely. This exhibition in Palazzo Reale has been curated by Pierre-Yves Busbach and Robert Rocca. The exhibition is staged with the striking design by ZDA Zanetti Architettura. Each gallery traces Man Ray's obsessions, identity, music, the female form, abstraction, cinema, and of course, fashion. For Milano Fashion Week, the timing could be not more symbolic. Designers, photographers, and stylists will find in Man Ray's vision both a mirror and a challenge, and a high reminder that fashion is not only about garments, but about light, narrative, and imagination. So I can also give you a brief 5 reasons on why you should step and you should go. And absolutely, for me, if you don't know Man Ray, it's difficult to understand contemporary art. Yeah, definitely, because it's so intense. So essentially, visiting Man Ray allows you to understand the revolutionary roots of fashion, its dialogue with the surrealism, its enduring visual DNA, and also during Fashion Week will be one of the most visited, of course, exhibit. Milano is always plenty of specific fashion art initiatives, and to me, this will be the one to be. So you will also be inspired by Forme di luce that will be on stage until the 11th of 2026. I remind you that he is okay. I told Fashion Revolution. So another reason is the dialogue between haute couture and surrealism. His imaginary blurs lines between art photography and fashion advertising, subverting conventions and challenging consumer culture from within glossy magazine. Um, Fashion photography's DNA techniques, such as solarization, dramatic lighting, and surreal juxtapositions, remain aimed in today's runaway. Uh, and this is the way you imagine something like fashion set shows. So also lookbooks and fashion campaigns are inspired by Man Ray. So it will allows industry professionals and enthusiasts also to trace a direct lineage from Man Ray's 1930s experiments to contemporary editorial photography. You will listen from my friends, AI friends, an in-depth review of the exhibit so that you can catch more and have more details on that. So I will leave you with the next segments in which you can also envision how this exhibit is structured and how much they work in gathering together 300 species in Milano during Milano Fashion Week. Keep on staying tuned. Simona Cochi, The Italian Way.
Welcome, deep divers. So picture this. The absolute buzz, the energy of Milan Fashion Week. It's, that global moment. Style, trends, the future of design hitting the runway.
Yeah, the streets are just electric.
Yeah.
Everyone's looking for what's next, what's cutting edge.
Exactly. But what if, right in the middle of all that forward momentum, there's this deep connection to the past? Something foundational that's actually still shaping what we're seeing today.
That's precisely the fascinating thing here. Milan Fashion Week isn't just about the next season. It's actually a perfect time to think about the artistic roots of it all.
You mean how art and fashion aren't really separate worlds?
Exactly. They've always been talking to each other.
Yeah.
And there's this one particular figure, a real provocateur, whose mind, whose vision really shaped both.
And that right there is where our deep dive gets really interesting today. We're looking at the upcoming Man Ray Forme di Luce exhibition. It's at Palazzo Reale in Milan.
And the timing is just incredible. It opens September 24th, 2025, running through January 11th, 2026. So bang in the middle of Fashion Week.
Perfectly timed. So our mission today is to really dig into how Man Ray, this absolute giant of 20th century art, a true provocateur, how he left such a lasting mark, not just on art with a capital A, but specifically on fashion. Why is this show, right now, so relevant?
Well, it's not just that he worked across different fields, it's how he did it. He made art, photography, even fashion speak this shared kind of rebellious language.
Okay, so we're talking about his inventive spirit, his techniques.
Yeah, his techniques were revolutionary, and how his own life, his personal journey, kind of wove through all his work. It gives us this unique way to understand, visual culture even now. He was always challenging what art is and what fashion could be.
All right, so buckle up for a journey through light, form, the avant-garde. Man Ray's story is definitely one worth unpacking. Let's start with the man himself. We all know the name Man Ray. Iconic. But he wasn't born Man Ray, was he?
No. He was born Emanuel Radnitsky, Philadelphia, 1890.
And then he basically reinvented himself, became Man Ray. Man plus Ray, as in ray of light.
Which is just perfect, isn't it?
Yeah.
It completely captured his whole life's work, his focus on light, on experimentation. It's like he named his destiny.
It really is. So he started developing artistically in America, but then came a really key moment.
Absolutely. This meeting with Marcel Duchamp, that was crucial. Duchamp really catapulted him into that European avant-garde scene.
Introduced him to totally new ways of thinking about art.
Exactly. Moving beyond just painting or sculpture. More conceptual stuff. Pushed him towards breaking rules.
And you see that immediately, right? He wasn't just a painter. He picked up photography. Initially, maybe just to document things.
Right, documenting his own art, his friends' work. But very correctly, he saw its potential as its own thing. A creative medium in its own right. Not just recording reality, but creating it.
And he was also drawing, making objects, those famous ready-mades even films.
He wasn't confined. That's the key. He used whatever medium fit his idea. Painting, photos, objects, film. He bent them all to his vision. That total immersion, pushing every medium to see what it could do, that's vital to understanding his influence.
Okay, so this brings us to Paris. 1921. This move seems like a really big deal.
Oh, huge. Paris was the epicenter. He arrived and just dove straight into André Breton's surrealist group.
So hanging out with people like Louis Aragon, Paul Éluard, the big names.
The core group. And for Breton, surrealism wasn't just like an art style. It was this radical philosophy, an absolute liberation of the mind, he called it, trying to tap into the unconscious, challenge logic.
A revolt against reason, basically.
Pretty much. And Man Ray took that idea and just ran with it visually.
Yeah.
He came up with these amazing techniques to sort of give form to those subconscious ideas, like his rayographs.
Ah, yes. Tell us about those. They're incredible.
They really are. It's a technique where you place objects directly onto photographic paper, no camera, and you expose it to light.
And you get these ghostly outlines, these ethereal shapes.
Exactly. Images that feel like they've emerged from nowhere. Tristan Tzara, the daddiest poet, actually coined the name rayograph, said it fused experimentation and poetry, which is perfect.
It feels like alchemy, turning everyday things into something else entirely just with light. And then there's solarization.
Right, solarization. He developed that with Lee Miller, who was his partner and an amazing photographer herself.
How did that work?
Well, basically, you partially re-expose the photographic print to light during the development process.
Okay.
And what happens is you get this kind of luminous, almost metallic line around the edges, the contours. It creates this really surreal halo-like effect. Makes things look uncanny, dreamlike.
Wow. And the exhibition at Palazzo Reale, it's going to showcase these techniques.
Oh, absolutely. They're showing around 300 works, vintage photos, drawings, objects, even documents, and it's structured thematically.
So what kind of themes?
Well, there are his self-portraits, where he's constantly playing with his own identity. Then portraits of artists, writers, intellectuals, capturing that whole vibrant scene. His treatment of nudes is fascinating, seeing the body as abstract form, as compositions of light.
Not just as figures, but as shapes.
Precisely. And of course, his daddiest influence objects, the ready-mades and multiples, everyday things turned into art. It all shows this constant searching, technically and poetically.
And we mentioned film earlier. He was doing experimental cinema, too.
Yes, films like Le Retour à la Raison, Emak-Bakia, L'Étoile de Mer, they were really pushing boundaries visually. Abstract, dreamlike, very avant-garde. Shows his vision went way beyond just still photos.
It's amazing to think these really experimental art world techniques were about to land somewhere completely different.
Exactly. Right onto the glossy pages of fashion magazines.
Which seems like a huge leap. But this is where Man Ray arguably made one of his most lasting impacts, right?
Yeah.
Especially in the 1930s.
The 1930s were absolutely pivotal for his fashion work. He didn't just, take pictures of clothes. He fundamentally revolutionized the visual language of the sector, as the curators put it.
How so? What was different?
His style was sophisticated, yes, but also ironic and technically brilliant. He brought that whole avant-garde sensibility, the experimentation, the surreal touches directly into commercial work.
And he worked with some major players.
Oh, the biggest. Paul Poiret, Elsa Schiaparelli, who is very surreal herself, Jean-Charles Worth, Coco Chanel.
Wow. And where did these images appear?
Top magazines. Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Vanity Fair. He wasn't just documenting couture. He was reimagining it through his very specific, often surreal lens.
But here's a question that always comes up. Working for Vogue, wasn't he just, well, selling out, using surrealism to sell dresses?
That's the tension, isn't it? And it's where some interesting scholarship comes in. People like Linda Meig-Sepelius argue that Man Ray and others weren't just commercializing surrealism.
What were they doing then?
They argue he was actually using the fashion magazine, using mass culture, as a platform to subtly disrupt it from within, penetrating, radicalizing, even kind of dismantling conventional ideas about beauty and advertising right there on the page.
So like an artistic Trojan horse, less about the dress, more about shifting how people see.
Kind of, yeah. Selling a new way of looking, a new perspective on the body, on reality itself, all wrapped up in a fashion photo. It's a really powerful idea.
And Vogue actually went along with this.
Well, Vogue had a visionary art director then, Mohamed Femi Aga, starting in '29. And he deliberately embraced this more experimental photographic approach in the editorial pages. He gave photographers like Man Ray significant creative freedom.
He saw the value in pushing boundaries.
Seems like it. He understood that readers wanted more than just clothes. They wanted inspiration, a connection to culture. Man Ray delivered that, and then some.
So let's talk specifics. How did his techniques change the look of fashion photos?
Well, think about solarization. Multiple exposures, those weird angles, showing just fragments of the body. It completely broke from just showing the garment clearly.
It became about mood, atmosphere.
Exactly. Mood, shape, light, shadow, evoking something deeper, sometimes unsettling, sometimes dreamlike, but rarely just straightforward.
And his styling? Composition?
Revolutionary there, too. Dramatic lighting, that intense chiaroscuro. Shadows become part of the design. He used unexpected props, distortions, sometimes assembling things like coat hangers or mirrors into the shot.
So the clothes weren't always the absolute center.
Not always the only focus. Composition, negative space, abstraction, they became just as important. It was about the total image, the artistic statement.
And how he treated the body. You mentioned fragments.
Yeah, he'd often isolate parts, hands, faces, hair. He made the body itself a form, a texture, a shape within the picture. It wasn't just a mannequin.
Which you can totally see influencing fashion shoots even now.
Absolutely. That idea of the body as an active sculptural element, not just a passive clothes horse, that's a direct line back to Man Ray and the Surrealists.
And this legacy, it's still visible in designers today.
Oh, for sure. Think of Martin Margiela, the silhouette distortions, using photographic negatives.
Yeah.
That feels very Man Ray. Dries Van Noten, Olivier the Skens. Many designers reference surrealism, fragmentation, and his visual tricks, still all over editorial photography.
Yeah.
He really did blur that line between art and adornment.
An absolute master of the visual. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Away from the art and fashion techniques for a moment, there's a more personal side to him, right? Something curious and out of the scheme, as our notes say, his relationships.
Yes, his relationships with women were incredibly significant. They weren't just partners or companions. They were often crucial muses and, importantly, collaborators.
Integral to his work, you mean?
Definitely. These relationships fueled his art, his experiments. Think of Kiki de Montparnasse. She was in his films, but also the subject of iconic photos like Le Violon d'Angre.
Where her back becomes a violin.
Exactly. And Noire blanche. That incredible image with her face and the African mask. Just stunning.
And Lee Miller, you mentioned her earlier, the photographer he developed solarization with.
Right, an intense collaboration by all accounts, pushing each other in the darkroom. Then there was Merit Oppenheim, the Erotique Voile series, Adrienne Filon, and later Juliette Browner, his wife, who became a muse in his later work.
So these weren't just passive muses, they were involved.
Very involved. Sources of inspiration, yes, but often active participants, co-creators. They helped him explore new ideas in photography and art. His life was as dynamic as his work, really.
Which brings us back to why this exhibition matters now. Milan Fashion Week. What's the connection? Why is this potent?
Well, Milan is this global hub for fashion, right? So it's the perfect place, the perfect moment to reflect on where visual fashion culture actually comes from. This show lets us look past the immediate trends and see the artistic foundations.
It's like providing context for everything else happening that week.
Exactly. And it's pure inspiration for the designers, the stylists, the photographers who are in Milan, or even just following online. Imagine seeing Man Ray's use of light, his staging, those silhouettes, those experimental images.
You could get so many ideas for next season.
Totally. It shows how pushing artistic boundaries can directly feed creativity, even commercially.
And maybe it's especially relevant now in our super image-focused world.
I think so. Fashion today is so tied up with image, identity, technology, even digital fashion now. Revisiting someone like Man Ray, who was constantly breaking down barriers between mediums, between art and commerce, between perception and reality, it feels incredibly insightful. He was playing with these ideas almost a century ago.
Plus, the exhibition is part of the Milan Cortina 2026 Cultural Olympiad program.
That's right, which further connects it to this broader cultural moment, linking art, culture, sport. It highlights creativity in all its forms.
What an amazing, multifaceted legacy. Fine art, photography, film, and completely shaking up how we see fashion. He really was an alchemist, wasn't he? Playing with light and form.
He truly was. His impact on both the art world and the fashion world is just undeniable. A unique visionary. He showed that commercial work could be deeply artistic, and personal vision could resonate universally.
So what does this all mean for you, listening right now? Well, maybe it means that line we draw between art and commerce, or between personal expression and public display. Maybe it's much more fluid, more blurry, more intriguing than we think.
Like one of his solarized photographs, perhaps.
Exactly. Man Ray kind of invites us, even forces us, to look closer, to question what we're seeing, to find that touch of the surreal, the unexpected in the everyday. He encourages us to see the world and fashion through a lens of, well, infinite possibility.
And that really is the heart of his enduring power.
This review has been researched, analyzed, and produced by Simona Cochi, digital journalist and producer from The Italian Way, an expert in the field of digital enhancement of arts, design, and fashion events and collections, who curated and authored the contents of this review. Join us next time for another deep dive.